Before we dig in, a quick thank you to the sponsors ready to grow with the Soil Sisters. Tejas Tonic is the official beverage of the Texas Soil Sisters. We especially love that the hemp for Tejas Tonic is organically farmed in the Texas Hill Country, with farms in both Dripping Springs and Lukenbach, Texas. The Soil Sisters podcast is powered by B&P Electric. Whether you're building, remodeling, installing low-voltage landscape lighting, or in need of an inspection, B&P is your Central Texas electrical contractor. Find links to our sponsors in the podcast show notes or head over to txsoilsisters.co. You're listening to the Soil Sisters podcast, where we dig in on family farming and ranching, regenerative agriculture, healthy living, and planting seeds in our community. We invite you to listen, subscribe, and grow with the Soil Sisters. Michael Bell, Dallas Half Acre Farm, thank you so much for joining us on the stage here at the Southern Family Farmers and Food Systems Conference.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I've been a big fan of y'all's podcast for a long time.
Well, I've been following you on social media as well, and I'm very excited to chat with you about what you're doing.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So you had a talk, I think, at like 11 o'clock this morning or something.
Yep.
What were you telling the people?
So I own a half-acre urban farm in Dallas, and when I bought the lot, it didn't have water or electricity. So I called the city, and they said I could get all of these things, but me being naive, I forgot to ask how much it would cost to get these things. Well, they wanted $28,000 for water, and they wanted $9,000 for electricity to be run to my property. I said, no, I can't, not only can I not afford that, I think I can figure out a way to do it pretty much for free after the initial startup cost. So I just talked to them about how I started the farm with no electricity and no water and the things that I do now to make those things work.
Outstanding. We have a similar situation in Lockhart, Texas. We just started a community garden called Main Street Gardens, and we had a special use permit that we needed in order to get water turned on to the property. And then once we went in front of the board and we got approved for the special use permit, then we found out, well, you have to have the water turned on before they activate the special use permit. Okay, chicken and the egg, whatever. How much does that cost? Sister, what did they say that was going to run us?
$4,500 just to turn the water on.
And this is in a tiny little town.
It's a quarter acre lot, actually.
Yeah, it's just the red tape and stuff like this nowadays is so much BS.
Yeah.
I hate it. And another reason why I didn't really go forward with it, because I don't want to mess with the city of Dallas. No one knows I'm there. There's no record, like paper trail to my farm.
Yeah.
And unfortunately nowadays, farmers and really anybody that wants to do anything outside the box has to kind of be careful, and going under the radar sometimes is better than fighting for what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a true story. So what was your solution?
So I have two problems: no electricity, no water. I knew the electricity problem wouldn't be a huge issue to fix now because solar is so readily available. It was just the money. So I did some checking, and I have a friend, Rebecca Siebert, works for the city of Dallas Urban Ag Program. Dallas is actually lucky enough to have someone like Rebecca who does an amazing job helping the urban farmers, and she found a grant for me. So I was able to apply for the grant, and I eventually got the money, and so I bought a 3,000 watt EcoFlow Pro solar generator. And what's different about it is you don't have all these things to put together. You don't have an inverter. You don't have a battery. You don't have a charge controller. It's all built into one box. So literally all you do is plug in a solar panel in the back, and the back of the solar panel is set up for any solar panel. Like you don't have to buy adapters. You don't have to find a certain solar panel. It just works. So I got one of those and bought a couple of solar panels off of Facebook Marketplace that were used for a few $100 and plugged it in and started working. Like that part was super simple.
So you got the grant. How much was that?
The grant was $2,994, which was the exact cost of what the solar generator cost.
And part of getting grant money is the red tape that goes along with it. What are your thoughts on that? What was your experience?
I don't want to sound ungrateful because, they gave me $3,000.
Yeah.
And filling out the process wasn't a big deal. Paperwork, no big deal. It's just the little things, like it was a reimbursement grant. So I had to put $3,000 on my credit card, or I'm a teacher. so I don't have $3,000 to pay that credit card off and wait. It took about 4 months to get my reimbursement check. Well, $3,000 at 22% interest every month adds up to a few $100s in interest charges.
Yeah.
So that was frustrating. And literally, I was awarded the grant. The next day I bought it. The next day I sent in the receipts. It was like 4 months to get reimbursed.
Yeah.
Now, City of Dallas, if you're listening, I really appreciate the money, and it's going to good use. I'm not talking bad about you, and I know things take time, but I don't think it should take 4 months to get your money back off of something that is one paper receipt. Here you go.
Yeah.
But
that's how I feel about being an independent contractor and doing work for big companies. And then, you submit your invoice for the work you did. And it's like, I already did that work. And now we're 4 months later, and I was anticipating to pay something with that a couple of months ago. And now I'm hamstrung. I need some help here. So yeah, I feel your pain. And we had a similar situation where we were looking for grant money for some of the work that we were doing in Lockhart with youth education and activating Main Street Gardens. And it just got to the point where I'm like, screw it, sister. Let's just raise this money. Let's have a fundraiser. Let's bring the community together. And then we're not beholden to anyone.
Yep. I did the same thing with my high tunnel. The NRCS has a grant for a high tunnel. Mm-hmm. Paperwork after paperwork, red tape. You didn't do this right. You didn't dot that I. You didn't cross that T. And it's funny because I was posting on Facebook Market Garden community page that I belong to, and everyone was complaining about how much red tape it is. Is it really worth it? And I chimed in. About an hour later, a guy that I know, pretty good friends now, Adam, he calls me. He goes, Mike, are you looking for a high tunnel? And I said, well, I'm trying to get one through the NRCS. And he goes, I got a perfectly good one I'm trying to sell. You want to buy it? And I said, well, let me come and look at it. 3 days later, I was loading it in my trailer and taking it back. And I called my NRCS guy. I was like, hey, forget the grant.
Yeah.
Why? We're almost done with No, I'm good.
You're almost done with it. I'm already done with it.
I've been done with it.
And that was the only other grant I ever applied for. Like, I don't think I'll ever apply for another grant. Yeah. It's just not worth it to me.
Yeah. And we feel a lot of that ourselves.
Yeah. I am not trying to get in bed with that. The things that you have to go through and the information that they want and just over and over and over. Yep. I personally am not a business person. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not who I am as a human being. This darling girl here is a fabulous, brilliant business person. I'm just here. I'm a lover. I'm a motivator.
Me and you are the same spirit animal.
So I'm like, you want me to fill out 57 pages detailing every, I'm just like, my eyes start rolling back and I'm like, sister, if you want to do this, I'll do it. And then when it wasn't anymore, we're doing something different, I said, that is just fine. Let me get right on board and we'll do this local, getting money from people who care about the kids in this community and who are going to benefit from the things that we're doing. And let's just leave all that other.
It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For my own peace of mind and sanity and that kind of thing.
Your own sanity is worth a lot of money.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's priceless.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. Since we said no thank you to $4,500 for turning on our water, we are figuring out the water solution. Granted, we are leasing the land from the person whose lot adjoins where the garden is. And so we're working out our own little deal with her to access her water.
And pay her water bill. Like whatever is over what you normally have on your water bill, we'll take care of that. And in the meantime, doing the water catch and...
So let's talk about that because we do have one small shed structure on our 1/4 acre lot. Tell us what you've been doing with your water catchment.
So I have a tough shed on my property. I told my wife when I bought it was for storage. It's really my man cave. It's got an old recliner and a TV and a DVD player. Like it's straight up my man cave. But I put a really abnormally large porch on it. And it was simple. It was 4x4s in the four corners around it, a couple of 2x6s to support the sheet iron. And then I just made a big porch and then put gutters around it. And then so I get water off of this tough shed, then off the porch, it runs into gutters, and then the gutters run into a 500-gallon water totes on each side. So
500 gallon?
yes.
Okay. On either side. Okay.
Yep. And you'd be surprised how much water you catch off of it. There's a formula that if you're really interested that you can look up on the internet, just type in something like square foot per inch of rain, and it'll tell you how many gallons you'll collect.
Okay.
And that'll give you a huge help on like how big you want it. So I use that, and that usually waters my cat tunnel, which is 340-foot beds. So those two, that's 1,000 gallons. That usually goes to my cat tunnel. And then I have a 3,000 square foot high tunnel that goes up on the sides 4 feet and then starts to curve. Well, right where it starts to curve on the flat part, you have to have a running board to hold all the pipe together. Mm-hmm. So I just put a gutter on it on both sides. So gutters are 10 foot. So where the gutters come together, I put a downspout. Mm-hmm. So I have 7 or 8 downspouts down both sides with 55-gallon barrels underneath it. So in a good 30-minute rain, I can collect 55 times 8, 440 gallons per side. So I can collect almost 1,000 gallons of rainwater in a good 30 or 45-minute rain.
Oh, yeah.
And then from there, it gets pumped into my bigger tanks that don't. Everybody asks, why don't you just put the big tanks underneath the gutters? They're too tall.
They're too tall. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I can't. The 55-gallon barrels are maybe 3 inches shorter than where the gutters come down. So they work out perfect. Mm-hmm. And then they get pumped, like I said, to the big tanks. And then from the big tanks, they get pumped to drip irrigation or to my wand when I hand water root crop vegetables or something like that.
Right on.
It's a process, but I make it work.
Yeah. Well, and with the community garden, that's part of the deal. Like if there's a group of people, I mean, you're an individual doing it, but fortunately we're going to have a community together, and that can just be part of the process.
So what was kind of the time frame of you figuring out, okay, not doing city water to having a functional water system on your half-acre farm?
Well, it took me 10 minutes to figure out what I wanted to do. Like as soon as I hung up, because I already had like a plan. I always have a backup plan because I'm 46 years old. A lot of the stuff that I've started in my life doesn't work out the way I planned it, and I've learned that. So I always knew if I can't get running water, I'll just do rain catchment. So as soon as I hung up the phone and cussed a little bit to myself, mm-hmm. I said, okay, let's do the gutters. I had my tough shed, so I was like, I just need more space. So I immediately built my porch, which doubled my water collection there. And at the time, I didn't have my high tunnel. I just got my high tunnel about a year ago. I just had 3 cat tunnels. Well, you can't catch rainwater off of cat tunnels because they don't have the running board down the side. They're too curved, mm-hmm. so you can't do that. So what I did was I built my own rain catchment on a piece of my property that didn't have anything growing on it. It was 10 foot wide, 50 foot long. It was made out of old pallets, and my dad had some sheet iron laying around that had holes in it, but it still worked. And basically just ran the sheet iron a little bit of a downhill into the gutter. The gutter fed 55-gallon water barrels up, just like the gutters are doing now. Mm-hmm. And then I just pumped it to my bigger water tanks that I had. And I'd probably still be doing that now if I wasn't able to buy the high tunnel. It worked. It looked like straight trash.
Yeah.
But
I was going to ask what your carpentry skills are like.
None.
Well, that's encouraging.
You got her done.
No, when I was 3, I was dribbling a basketball. I wasn't hammering a fake nail.
So were we.
Yeah.
We're basketball sisters.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Did you play in college?
Yes. Well, I did, and 2 other sisters did. At one point, there were 4 sisters out of the 5 players on the court.
No kidding.
Yeah.
My senior year.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I was a freshman. Crystal was a senior. Our sister Buffy, she was also a freshman. And then Bambi was a junior. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We went to state that year.
We went to state. Yeah.
And then we went to state my senior year. But yes, basketball was a huge part of our childhood.
That was my whole entire. I went to Bowie High School. We haven't made the playoffs in football in 40 years, but we've won like 9 state championships.
I played basketball at Midwestern right up the road.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So, but my carpentry skills, they've gotten better because they had to get, like, right. I had to do so much random stuff. I call my dad a lot, but
that's awesome.
They've gotten better. But no, that first one, I don't know how the wind didn't blow it down like the first storm we had, but it stood up. Well, it was so bad that I had to stick a 10-foot T-post, which you don't usually see 10-foot mm-hmm. T-post. I got a 10-foot T-post and drilled it in, like hammered it in one side, to keep it from falling
Yeah.
over in the wind. All I had to do was catch water. That's all I
Southern
needed to do.
engineering.
Exactly.
It's
I
helpful.
love it. I love it. And so we can see pictures of these on your social media.
Oh yeah, with the high tunnel, there's a lot. Now, if you want to see the rain catchment, I'll just text that to you
Yeah.
because that was
Before you wanted to.
2 years ago, and I've posted a lot since then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do a lot of posting on social media, trying to, I guess, just show people other ways of doing things.
Yeah.
My wife says I'm cheap. I say I'm efficient, money efficient, but I don't have a ton of money because I'm a teacher to spend.
Yeah.
Trying to get my farm to where I want it to be, so I have to get Southern Ingenuity. But yeah, there's all kinds of videos and pictures on there of what I do to kind of cut corners and make things work.
Tell me what inspired you to start Dallas Half Acre Farm.
So I always grew stuff. Like my earliest memory ever is with my grandma cutting up milk cartons and putting them over the tomato plants. But so I always grew stuff. And then when I got to college, I tell everybody I was the only guy with a hangover watering their tomato plants in college. I always loved growing stuff. And then, I don't know, 2016, 2015, I found Curtis Stone on YouTube. 1 3-minute video. And the next 3 days, all I did was watch his videos. And then I went down that rabbit hole of urban farming, 30-inch bed systems, small-scale farming, JM14, like the whole, like I just immersed myself in it. And absolutely loved it. Fell in love with it. And it's funny, when my grandma died, she left me $7,500. Like that, I was her favorite grandkid. Everybody, my sister knows it. Nobody's gonna get their feelings hurt. Well, I called a real estate agent and I said, "Hey, I'm looking for a small 1/4 acre, 10th, whatever you can find for $7,500." She goes, "Mike, we're in Dallas. You ain't gonna find that." I said, "If you do, call me." She calls back 2 days later and she goes, "Mike, I found a 1/2 acre, a little less than a 1/2 acre." I said, "How much is it?" She said, $7,500. And I just started laughing.
Yeah.
She goes, "What do you want to offer?" I said, "Nothing. $7,500. I ain't even going to try to bring them down. This was fate." Bought that for $7,500, and didn't tell my wife for 3 months. She didn't even know I had the money. We've been married 9 years. I actually forgot 99% of the time that I had the money. I just kept saving it for something.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted it to be worth something, not just blown on anything. So I bought it. I'd sneak away and clear out, mow, and I cleared the land with billboard signs that I'd bought off of Facebook Marketplace, and it was 100-degree heat. So the billboard signs were black, so it just torched everything. It was the best weed killer ever. And finally, after like 2 months, my wife's like, "Why have you been gone so much?"
Are you having an affair?
Yes, with a 1/4 acre, with a little less than a 1/2 acre lot. Yes, honey. So I told her, and she didn't understand it. I showed her the videos of Curtis, and she still didn't understand it. And I was like, "You know what? You don't have to understand it."
Yeah.
And then that's when I started getting up at 4 in the morning to go to the farm, because I didn't want to take time away with the family. I didn't want to be like, "You're always gone." So I just went from 4 to 6:30. Everybody was asleep. Nobody even knew I was gone.
Yeah.
And it's just evolved into what it is now.
So you teach. Where do you teach and what
I
age
teach in
group?
Mesquite, Texas, elementary PE, K through 5. It's not cute. It's not adorable. It's a job. I've done it for 24 years.
Yeah.
So other than farming, probably anything other than 24 years, you're going to dislike. But I got 4 or 5 years left, and then I can retire with a pension, and I can farm full time. I can start my second life.
I love it.
So what are you doing with the stuff you grow? Is it just for your family? Are you participating in the farmers market downtown? What are you doing?
So no on the farmers market. That's a hard no. I don't have the time. Farmers markets, crazy busy Friday night. Then you're gone all morning Saturday morning. Then you get home, you're exhausted from Friday nights. So I never did that, never wanted to do a farmer's market. So what I do is I sell to individual people in a CSA style format. I have 2 lists, week A and week B. I have a few vegetarians, God love them, on both lists. They eat a lot, and, they're always wanting it. So I think I've got 3 or 4 that buy every week. And then the other ones are every other week. I learned early on, if I deliver every week, like on Sunday, they're like, "Oh God, we have to eat this. Mike's bringing more tomorrow."
Yeah.
Whereas if you don't, they finish it around Tuesday or Wednesday, and then they start to miss it by the time you bring it the next Sunday.
Yeah.
So every other week works well. You're not bombarding them. You don't feel like, I don't ever want to bother anybody with it, So I sell, like I said, 2 different lists, week A, week B. Strictly word of mouth. I don't advertise. I've done some Instagram ads just so I can help other farmers use it, because I think it's a great tool for what we do. People buy with their eyes. They want to be invested with the farmer. They want to know their farmer. So, I've ran some ads just to help there, but most of it's just, hey, I've got 5 extra bags of salad. Do you know anybody that wants it in the neighborhood? Because I deliver all my stuff.
That's was going to be my next question.
Yeah, I deliver all my stuff. I remember when I started, Costco had just bought Whole Foods. Walmart or
Wait,
recently,
Amazon had
yeah,
just
I'm
bought
sorry.
Whole
Yes.
Foods.
Amazon had just bought Whole Foods. Walmart, COVID was a big thing. Walmart had just started delivering. And I said, I don't want people to give me excuses. Like, oh, it was 105. I didn't want to go to the farmer's market. Or, no, I just don't want to come and get it this week. So I figured out, let me just take to your doorstep. So literally I deliver to doorsteps, but I deliver it very intelligently. Like my neighborhood, I live in a subdivision of 600 people. So I deliver to those 10 or 15 people on Sunday night. Tuesday night's the neighborhood across the street from me. Thursday night's the neighborhood a mile down the road. I live in Forney, which is nothing but subdivisions.
Yeah, our sister lives there.
Yes.
I'll probably sell to her, but
Well, you should.
You should. You will now.
You will now. Yeah.
Yeah.
so and then since I teach, we have an administration building, and that's like 100 women.
Oh, yeah.
And then my school is like 60 women. Well, women eat salad.
Yeah.
And especially teachers, because they get 30 minutes for lunch. You can change this. You can have 5 different salads 5 days a week. You can have egg white, chicken, tuna, nut. I mean, you can have all these different salads every day of the week. So it works perfect for teachers. So
Is it profitable? Is this profitable for you?
oh yeah.
I love this.
I love it.
Like I don't have any bills. Like we were talking beforehand. I don't have electric bill. I don't have a water bill. My taxes are about $85 a month for the property. And then everything else is just my costs. I mean, I can buy 5,000 lettuce seeds for $40.
Yeah. And your sweat equity.
And I love doing it. I tell everybody, if I won the lottery tomorrow, I would be at my farm the next day.
Yeah.
Now, I'd have some badass toys. Like I'd have a Jane cedar and a paper pot transplanter. I'd have all this really cool stuff and I'd have a lot of fun. I'd still go farm. I'd still go to my farm if I won the lottery tomorrow. Give my wife some money and say, go to Neiman's and I'll go to my farm. We'll be perfectly happy.
Good morning. Thank you very much for this opportunity to visit with you. My name is Howard Vlieger. I identify myself as a student of the soil. This journey began for me in 1989. I have no problem admitting the more I know I don't know. The good Lord has given us an amazing creation to be caretakers of. In 1989 is when I converted our family farm to alternative farming methods. Today, it is known as regenerative farming. We direct market beef, pork, chicken, turkey, lamb, eggs from our farm. My son is responsible for the bulk of the duties on our farm. When I'm home, I do milk a cow by hand every morning. I am here at the conference representing a company called Contact Biosolutions, and I'll tell you a little more about that product after a bit. 1992 is when, looking back, I state that I started working as a crop and livestock nutrition advisor. I have been blessed to work with family farms all across the U.S. and Canada, helping them reduce their dependency on synthetic chemicals, successfully reduce their dependency, and improve the health of their soil, their crops, their animals, and their family. In 1994, I started studying GMO crops. In 1997, I started doing on-farm research. The research that we were doing compared yield, and we proved that if you had a good sound hybrid, the genetically engineered hybrid did not pay. It only cost more. And we also saw that livestock, given a choice between non-GMO and GMO grain, would not eat the GMO unless they were forced to. And we replicated that numerous times with varying species of livestock over the years. We started witnessing ill health in our customers' livestock that were being convinced or strong-armed into planting the GMO crop. And luckily they segregated it, and they saw digestive issues and reproductive issues consistently when they were feeding the GM corn or soy products. So in 2008, we conducted a scientific study where we Took 168 pigs right off their mother when they were weaned. We split them evenly into two groups. We fed them non-GMO corn and soy and GMO corn and soy diets for their lifetime as a meat animal. To shorten up that story, the results, the statistical findings of the study were this. Of the GM-fed pigs, there was a 260% increased likelihood of severe inflammation in their stomach, which we showed in pictures it was red. The males had a 400% increased likelihood of this severe inflammation, and the females a 220% increase. The weight of the utera of the GM-fed female was 25% abnormally heavy when compared to the average weight of the utera of the non-GM-fed female. We did not have the money to do the histological analysis on the stomach or the utera, but we confirmed the two body parts that we were seeing the anecdotal issues with through the experience of our customers. The thing that we didn't anticipate was the behavior issue. Dr. Arpad Pustai is one of the amazing scientists that I was blessed to be mentored by over the years. And when I sent him the protocol for our study, he said, you have to weigh the pigs every week. I argued with him at first, but then he convinced me, yes, you will do this. So we did it, and we set up what we needed to. And as a result, those pigs were run through a simple maze every week. The people that weighed them didn't know who was fed what, but they were always in pen A, B, C, and D. They'd let the pigs out. They'd run them through the simple maze, write down their number, write down their weight, and put them back in their pen when they were finished weighing the group. The pigs in pen A and pen B went through this simple maze easily, without hassle. Pigs are very much creatures of habit, and they get used to this routine. The pigs in pen C and pen D not only could not navigate this simple maze on a regular basis, but as soon as they would get in the confined quarters of the maze, they'd start fighting and biting and picking on one another. When they were back in their normal surroundings, they never just exhibited the level of contentment. They always had a sense of listlessness. Well, as most people guess, the pigs in pen C and pen D were the ones that were eating the GMO corn and soy. And Dr. Judy Carmen, the lead scientist of our study, went on to do a study on rats with corn and soy individually. And I can't tell you the results of those studies because they haven't been published, and they may never be published because of what the university did to her for telling the truth. But I asked people the question. In 1996, before 85% of the processed foods in the grocery store contained foreign proteins from GMO crops, how many people did you know that were on mood-altering medications for ADD, ADHD, and the like, versus what it is today when 85% plus of the processed foods in the grocery store not only contain the foreign protein from the GMO, but also likely contain chemical residue from the chemicals that are used in growing the GMO. And the glyphosate residue is absolutely the elephant in the room to anyone in the health space or the consumer awareness space because it's ubiquitous in our environment. It regrettably has found its way into a lot of organic items.
Yes.
And in my opinion, the number one reason for that happening is because of the fact that when USDA got involved in the organic rules and regulations business in the early 2000s, one of the first things they did was allow the application of CAFO manure, that being manure from a confined animal feeding operation, that those animals are consuming GMO corn and soy that does contain glyphosate residue. That glyphosate goes right through that animal and ends up in the manure and the urine, and that gets put on the certified organic land. Dr. Michael McNeil in Algona, Iowa was the first researcher that I know of that documented this ill effect because he saw the chelation, nutrient chelation tie-up situation in certified organic potatoes that had received 3 tons of poultry litter as fertilizer. And of course, the glyphosate being a very broad spectrum chelator ties up calcium, magnesium, manganese, zinc, iron, copper, nickel, cobalt, boron, selenium, molybdenum, and potassium, and does not let go. Well, and the other thing that people don't realize, some people don't realize about glyphosate, in addition to being the chelator, which it was patented in 1964 by Stauffer Chemical Company as a chelator. Then it was patented in 1969 by Monsanto as a herbicide, and it came on the market in 1972 in the form of Roundup. In 2003, Monsanto filed for a patent with the U.S. Patent Office for it as an antimicrobial agent. They were granted that patent, and it was updated in 2010, and that their own patent proves that it affects lactobacillus, enterococcus fecalis, bifidobacteria, and a host of all of the good organisms that all mammals want in their digestive tract. And there's mountains of science that show the damaging effect it does in the soil and in the gut because of that antimicrobial effect. And when you compound the chelating effect, you make that nutrient biounavailable from the microbial aspect as well as the nutrient available aspect. And the issues that it's causing, you know, most people are aware of the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma lawsuits that have been successful. Well, the reason they're successful is the science is there to support it caused it. Mm-hmm. The science is emerging that will connect it to obesity, to Crohn's disease, to ileitis, to leaky gut, to irritable bowel syndrome, to kidney failure, to liver failure. This has all been documented in the science to this point in time. And it's probably the number one reason why the chemical companies have this full-fledged forward action plan right now to get immunity from liability for the damaging effects of their products in the marketplace. And that's happening in both at the state and the federal level.
Yes. Yeah. The more you know, people, this is something that affects anyone who eats food. That's why I'm like, what do you want consumers to know? Howard starts rattling off. I'm like, pause, we're putting you on a microphone right now, Howard. Yeah. So now tell me what you're doing at Contact Biosolutions.
Being in this space as long as I have, I recognize the need for an alternative to glyphosate-based herbicides to terminate cover crops. One of my scientist friends connected me with a company in Australia, and I started working with and communicating with them in 2015 in October. As things progressed, I started the U.S. division of the company in 2017, started the work with the EPA to get the regulatory approval in 2018. That has not been an easy road to travel.
Goodness, no.
Thankfully, we have been successful to get the approval for our third generation product that is simpler to use than our earlier products were, all with the same basis. The focus is working with nature to get the desired vegetation control we want. We have developed technology and formulation to make organic acid consistently effective as a contact herbicide. When I first had the Skype conversation with one of the founders of the company, who was a CPA, back in 2015, I asked him, I said, well, how does your product affect the soil? He quite simply told me, I don't know. Well, being a student of the soil, that was important to me. So after I started the U.S. division of the company in 2017, I reached out to one of my scientist friends, Dr. Bob Kramer, who was still working for USDA as an ag research scientist located at Columbia, Missouri. I said, if there's ever an opportunity to do a head-to-head comparison with our products to Roundup to measure the effect on the microbiome of the soil, please let me know. About 6-8 weeks later, he contacts me. He says, hey, Howard, there's an opportunity for organic herbicide at the trial at the university. I said, wait a minute, we're not certified organic. He said, that don't hurt. So long story short, we did a 2-year study. Glyphosate, the latest and greatest version of Roundup, and our products, and collecting the soil samples and measuring the effect on the microbiome of the soil. Long story short, most people know that glyphosate reduces the population of beneficial organisms in the soil and increases the population of disease-causing organisms. Our products did exactly the opposite. There was an increase in the beneficial organism population and a decrease in the disease-causing organism population. And there's nothing in our product that's going to directly adversely affect the disease-causing organisms. It's the way nature's supposed to be. When you see an increase in the beneficial, the opportunistic drop.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's a natural effect. As we have improved the formulation over time, the first measurement that we take after we've demonstrated efficacy is how does it affect the microbiome? We're either benign or beneficial with the formulations as we have moved forward. And we have much more cutting edge science to document that today. We're doing a full DNA analysis of the microbiome of that soil before and after application of the product for cover crop termination. We're not ready for broadacre cover crop termination yet. Right now, it's being used as spot spray and directed spray by homeowners, gardeners, larger scale gardeners, specialty crop producers. It's very much a paradigm shift in weed control to have consistently effective, broad spectrum control without adverse effect.
That's fantastic.
Is there a pathway forward to this being used on large acreage?
We're hoping that to accomplish that. We have had further developments and improvement of the formulation, and that product is under EPA review right now. Hopefully they're more timely in doing their job than what they were with the last version.
Being an option with those NRCS contracts, when people, like, you have the options for the ways that you have to terminate a cover crop, we need an option like this.
We're going to be doing cover crop termination trials with that version that's under EPA approval. And we've found a special adaptation kit that you can put on a sprayer that is supposed to increase the efficacy and reduce the volume of material applied. Mm-hmm. That's our challenge, because being a contact herbicide and needing that full coverage, we got to put out a lot of material to do that.
Right.
So we're looking at the trials. Preliminary trials we've done have been very positive, but we have to do our due diligence and really put this thing through its paces before I will be comfortable saying we're ready to go. And again, I'm blessed to be connected with many of the forefront people in that space. Gabe Brown's been a friend of mine ever since I met him, even though I thought I made him mad when I told the truth about glyphosate back in 2008. But later on, he told me, he said, no, you didn't make me mad. You actually woke me up. I went home and I quit using it, and we saw the benefits immediately.
Well, I mean, you helped create the Gabe Brown that we all know and
I
love.
love it.
So thank you,
No, I won't
Howard.
say that. Gabe is an extraordinary man,
He is an extraordinary man.
a very dear friend. I just misinterpreted his expression, because when I said what I said about glyphosate, I thought, yep, I made him mad.
Made him think.
Exactly.
Later, when it was obvious we were friends for life, he said, no, you misinterpreted it. He says, my mind was an open book. And he says, we quit it. And he said, we saw the improvement of me. I said, well, what did you see? The earthworm population was going the right direction, and then it exploded. Mm-hmm. And their beneficial insect population just went off the chart.
Yeah.
And, there's so many residual adverse effects of glyphosate. I was talking to somebody in March when I was in Texas at a conference, and there was mold in the motel. And I said, do you realize you can scientifically connect that problem to glyphosate?
Sure.
And they looked at me like, how can you do that? And I explained it. When you damage the Pseudomonas and all of the beneficials that glyphosate does in the soil, it allows all of the opportunistic fungi to proliferate. Well, the Fusarium, the Pythium, the Phytotha, the Rhizoctonia, Sclerius, Sclerotinia, and Aspergillus. Well, the Aspergillus goes off the chart. That's your mold and mycotoxin producing spores.
Yeah.
When they spray Roundup for landscape around all these facilities, they're causing an environment to poof out mold spores
Right.
right and left. So what happens if they suck them into the ventilation system of the facility?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
So the far-reaching effects of this is, Dr. Huber is one of my amazing scientist mentor friends, and I started working with him in 2009. 2011, we were in Canada together at a conference, and he gave me a copy of a book entitled Our Stolen Future. It's by Theo Coburn. It talks about dioxin, DDT, PCBs, and stilbestrol. They're all hormone-disrupting products, as most synthetic chemicals are. I read the first 4 chapters on the plane ride home from Canada, and I called him, and I said, if I interpret this correctly, someday we're going to make the statement that glyphosate makes DDT look like mouthwash.
Yeah.
He said, I can't argue with that because of how far-reaching its damaging effects are and how indiscriminately it's being used.
Well, and as a chelator, it pulls those minerals out of the soil. When it's in the plant, it's pulling them from the plant. When the animal eats it, it's now pulling them from the animal. And now when we eat them, it is literally from the moment they apply it through the entire food chain, chelating minerals, pulling minerals from your body, from everything that it touches.
And chelate's a Greek word meaning claw or to hold. In the crop research studies, it took 1/40th of a label rate of glyphosate to chelate the majority of those minerals I mentioned earlier. And some of them are more sensitive than others. And, it's binding them, number one, but then when you compound that antimicrobial effect in the soil, for example, the manganese reducers and the manganese oxidizers. The reducers are the good bugs. The oxidizers are the ones you don't want. They measured the levels. They were 90% reducers and 10% oxidizers. They put glyphosate on and it went to 10% reducers and 90% oxidizers. So you did a complete shift. So you got a double whammy. You've got that strong chelation effect and the antimicrobial, which the microbes are our friend.
Yes.
That's the most available form of nutrition we can have.
Yep.
In essence, we don't get it without the microbes in our gut.
Exactly. And that's what people don't understand. And I'm so happy that you are saying this because that is the problem. And yes, glyphosate, it is literally stripping everything that we could possibly need out of it and making it unavailable and killing the life. And we are life. And that's what, in earlier conversations we've had today, regenerative means life supporting. And that is the farthest thing from it, glyphosate.
The thing that I'm hopeful will come in the future with some of the research that's been done in the regenerative space, Dr. Stephen Van Vliet is an amazing researcher, and he's doing macro, micro, and phytonutrition analysis of food items, and a lot of it meat, being raised in a regenerative system. Well, that phytonutrition, and I can't begin to name all of those components, but they directly counteract things like diabetes and others. And I testified in Iowa at the hearing they had when they were trying to pass the legislation to give the chemical companies freedom from lawsuits for damage caused by their products. And the Bayer lobbyist, after everybody had testified, he made a smart aleck remark that, well, the next thing you know, they're going to be trying to blame the obesity levels in our country on glyphosate. And I spoke up and I said, I would like to address that gentleman's comments. And the chairman of the committee snapped at me, wait your turn. And when he called on me, I said, that gentleman doesn't know how prophetic he is. I said, it's very well documented in the scientific literature, the adverse effect that glyphosate is having on the microbial community, and specifically Lactobacillus, Enterococcus faecalis, and bifidobacteria are eviscerated in the digestive tract of the mammal with a minuscule amount of glyphosate residue. I said, well, guess what? The science is accumulating with the studies in the diabetes that show that people do not have those beneficial organisms in their digestive tract when they have diabetes.
Exactly. And so then when they're hungry, because they never are satisfied because there's no nutritional value in their food. So they eat more and more of more stuff that have that in them. And so there's no satisfaction.
The interesting part of that interaction, that lobbyist zipped it. He never said another word the rest of the time. The chairman, he looks at me and he said, "Who'd you say you are?"
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't argue with the science that I had to back up my testimony.
Right.
And he couldn't argue with the legal precedent that I quoted from the attorney team that won the initial lawsuits, because I worked with them.
Mm-hmm.
Howard, I love you.
Me too.
I love you
Thank
too.
you,
Now-
Howard.
If people want to work with you, if they want to learn more about what you're doing, if they are a small farm that wants to use your product, how do people find you?
Firehawk Bioherbicide.com is our website.
All right. Firehawk
Bioherbicide.com. You know, right now we're very much working with the homesteaders, the regenerative. We're not for broadacre. We're with high value crops, vegetable production. Anybody that wants to do the best job of producing maximum nutrient density and no contaminants.
This is very exciting because Chris, the guy that helped us build the garden, was asking what we used as a herbicide. And so this is great.
I use it in my garden.
Yeah, this is fantastic.
And where's Firehawk Bioherbicide located? Where are you?
I live in Northwest Iowa. That's technically the headquarters for the company, but we're growing now, and we're going to relocate the office, which is fine with me because I'm not home half the time anyway. Then they'll get the mail instead of me.
All right. Thank you for coming up and sharing your voice. This is the thing we love about the Southern Family Farmers and Food Systems Conference is it attracts amazing people like you that educate us and share new things that we're all looking for.
Well, and giving data and really research that we already know. I know this stuff, but you just gave me so much more information and things to even look up. So I appreciate that very much.
Well, and I appreciate what you're doing because, as I said, I started down this road in 1989. And in the early 90s, I started trying to tell people what was going on. And I'll admit I didn't take the best approach at that time.
We never do in the beginning. We got to learn.
The awareness is so key.
Yeah.
So what you're doing to me is the creme de la creme.
Thank you.
Getting the word out there. That's what we need. Because people, when they know the truth, they don't look back.
Yeah.
The truth shall set you free,
That's
my
right.
friends.
I've been privileged to work with RFK Jr. for over 8 years.
Oh, nice.
And I like what he says. They don't come from that side to our side and then go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've been saying that we're the canaries in the coal mine, but we're the livers. We're living, but just alerting people and helping people understand because they're not publishing this widely, like you mentioned earlier.
It's so critical for our children. Dr. Pustai told me, he believed that GMOs were going to be positive when he did that study. And it was so damaging to the lab animals that he fed it to. And in the early days of the GMO, is it what they're inserting that's causing the problem? Because BT was the first one, Bacillus thuringiensis, a natural insecticide, and it eats a hole in the gut. So they thought it was the BT. It wasn't, and it isn't. He helped me understand it's the process of the insertion that causes the problem. Greater than 95% chance that you're going to see the development of that foreign protein in the fruit of that plant. When that foreign protein enters the digestive tract of the mammal, the immune system goes on alert. And it's the picture, if you will, a 2-foot brick wall, 8 feet high. That's the foreign protein. Now picture a man pushing against that brick wall, trying to get rid of it. That's the immune system. So when 70 to 80% of your cells of your immune system are pushing against that brick wall 24/7, 365, what happens to your strength?
Yeah.
It's depleted. Why do we have such a radical increase in autoimmune issues in our country? In my opinion, that foreign protein is number one.
Yep.
We don't have nutrient density in the food, number one. We have foreign proteins, number two. We have glyphosate and other chemical residues, number three. We have injectable toxins going into the environment, and we don't have proper exercise.
Yeah.
We need to turn that all around.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Thank you, Howard. Firehawk Bioherbicide, fast-acting weed control that supports soil health and your health.
Very exciting. Thank you so much for being with us, Howard.
Thank you.
Connect with the Soil Sisters at txsoilsisters.co. Submit questions, guest or show ideas, and sponsorship inquiries. The Soil Sisters podcast was created and produced by Joanna Nuding. Editing and sound design are in the capable hands of the PodConnects Podcast Network.